Hello and welcome to a new episode of IdeaCast. Our topic today is how much to spend on sales versus marketing. My name is Thomas Wittig and I will be leading you again through the session today. This is actually an old question, an old battle between sales and marketing. And it's about competing resource demands. So, of course, the sales team wants to push their agenda, the marketing team wants to push their agenda. And at the end of the day, we're talking about the same customers and the same market that we want to acquire. But depending on the approach that we are taking, it has different dynamics. So, I want to illustrate that in a couple of slides here. So let's again consider we have a sales and marketing funnel. I talked about that a little bit more in the previous sessions. And so what that means is we want to convert potential customers into trial customers and then into actual customers. For example, in the form of a software as a service business. And so the thing that we have to keep in mind is that we have a feedback structure that we are working with. So by the time the customers are converting and becoming trial customers and actual paying customers, they contribute to the word of mouth, which means that they are talking to other clients, which pulls more clients into our group of trial customers and into our installed base. So the more customers we have in the installed base, the stronger the word of mouth becomes over time. The other feedback loop, of course, is a financial, monetary feedback loop, which means that as customers are coming in and we are collecting revenue, then we can allocate a portion of that revenue again towards sales and marketing, which is accelerating our growth. That's of course something we have to keep in mind. Now, the question is what is driving the sales and marketing effort? So we have to consider, of course, the key performance indicators and the levers for growth. In terms of sales, that might be, of course, the number of salespeople we have in our operations, their productivity, meaning how many customers they can touch per day, per month, and how effective they are in converting potential leads, opportunities into paying customers. On the marketing side, we have parameters such as the monthly search volume, if we do a search engine marketing, for example, our cost per click, which is determining how many customers we can acquire in our marketing funnel, and of course the conversion rate, meaning how many we can or what fraction of those customers we can convert. Now, I want to show you a couple of tools today. And the first is a simple Excel worksheet, which can be used for an initial estimation. So going back to this chart, what we did here is basically to turn these parameters that you may want to consider into an Excel worksheet. So one tab has the sales component, the other one has the marketing component, and it spells out, parameter by parameter, month by month, what your performance might look like. Now, of course, you have to feed in your own parameters and your actual values that are relevant for your situation. But then you get a feeling with this, what I call the financial and installed base summary, where the journey is heading. So if sales or marketing is better and how the story plays out over time. So this is a little dashboard. It's a tool that you can use. It's available for download. So quick walk through some of the tabs here, the sales tab, the marketing tab, and the financial summary. It's not terribly complicated. It's just meant to be for illustration purposes so that you can build it and adjust it. And you can download this from the IdeaCast website. So here's the bit.ly URL, and I will show it again later on at the end. Another thing that we need to consider is, of course, if we assume, for example, that a certain parameter is important, then that parameter is not stable over time. So what I mean by that is, for example, we could take our sales parameters and say the sales effort, for example, per person, per customer, on average, or most likely, would be about 3 hours. But it could very well be only 2 hours or as high as 5 hours or even more. So what we do here is basically showing sensitivity analysis. And we assume that, for example, the sales effort is distributed over a certain range with a more or less likely event. So here the average sales effort would be around 3 person hours per customer, but again it could be as low as 2 and as high as 5. So it's, as you see from the shape of the curve, we assume that it's geared towards the downside, so the lower end of the spectrum here. Now if we do this for every parameter, what we get then is a distribution of the potential outcome. So basically what this tells us is that if we not only take the average performance, but we apply the sensitivity analysis, it gives us a very different picture. And here we can see that, of course, sales gives us a little bit more narrow expected performance, which means that it's fairly predictable. But on the other hand, marketing has a bit more upside. So if we do things right, if things turn out very well, we could actually generate more customers, more revenue. At the same time, what this picture shows us is that marketing has also a larger downside, which means there's more risk involved. So that helps us to make an informed decision and also pay attention to firm up these parameters over time and focus our improvement efforts. And the interesting thing is, if you just take a look at the averages, you know, sales and marketing could be fairly similar. But if you take a look at the potential outcomes in terms of the range of potential outcomes, you could get a very different picture. Now in this case, I ran a simulation analysis with about 10,000 simulations of potential outcomes, different combinations of these parameters that I showed you. Another way of looking at the performance is with a dynamic simulation. And now this takes us a bit more into the area of system dynamics, but don't be worried. I'm not going to make a math or simulation camp out of this. I just want to give you some inspiration here. So the question that we could ask, for example, is what would the performance actually look like if we take a look at the change over time, and we just take a look at 2 parameters, so the strength of word of mouth, high or low, and the marketing cost. And I'm doing what I call an 80-20 experiment, which means I'm shifting 80% of the resources towards marketing or 80% towards sales. And so we try to get a better feeling for what's happening here. Now, again, if you remember one of the earlier idea casts, I talked a little bit more about the sales and marketing funnel and the feedback structure related to it. So the underlying model, a simulation model, looks something like this, where we have a conversion flow and let's say we also have loss rates where we're losing customers, and we have a renewal cycle here as well. But the more important thing is that with the simulation approach, we can embed actually the feedback loops. That's something that you cannot do with Excel, not easily actually, because you would get a lot of error messages from so-called circular references, etc. So basically what the outcome is here in 2 scenarios. So first we take a look at the word of mouth promotion. And in the scenario where we have a fairly weak or low word of mouth promotion, actually our sales effort would be more effective. But if we have a very high word of mouth promotion, then we should go all in and probably deploy sales and marketing at the same time. Fairly counterintuitive insight here, but important to understand the dynamics. Then the other scenario where we take a look at the cost per contact. Now the cost per contact basically determines or limits how many customers we can reach and we can pull into our sales funnel. Now in terms of a low cost per click or cost per contact, we would of course go all into the marketing area if that gives us the right customers to get into our sales funnel and marketing funnel, of course. Now, this is not so intuitive in terms of a simulation to pull together, and many of you might not have the tools available. So I put that also together in explorative simulation tool. I call this a management flight simulator for marketing. And you can also access the tool. It's a cloud-based simulation tool. So here's the URL for it. I make it available in the IdeaCast. And what you can do here is basically explore different runs and different scenarios. So you can store your own scenarios. But again, keep in mind, this is only for illustration, learning, and experiential learning purposes. So it's not meant to be an operational tool. And the way you do that is you can vary the parameters here with the sliders. So for example, you can take a look at the market settings, so and make your assumptions transparent, what the market actually looks like, how it's responding in terms of the churn, the contact rate, etc. And that gives you a sense of the velocity in the market and how it's responding. You can play with the marketing parameters, for example, the cost per contact, etc., and also the sales parameters. So in there you can get a better feeling in how your system is actually responding over time. Now I like to use these dynamic simulations in consulting situations or in workshops because they produce a lot of insights and aha moments. Basically, we are surprised a lot what the dynamic nature is of a system. Now, these tools and more you can find again in the Resource and Briefing Center. So there's the Excel sheet for download, and you can also access the Market Dynamics Flight Simulator. In conclusion, I would suggest always make informed decisions. So even if you do not know the true parameters and the true performance upfront before you actually go into a campaign, make your assumptions transparent and run certain simulation experiments. So it's important to understand the sensitivity and the levers before you're actually committing resources. So that helps you to learn something before you actually go down this path. Because once you have started a campaign, once you have hired people to go after, let's say, sales opportunities, it's fairly hard to revise that. So in an early stage, you can use the simulations to get a better sense of where your performance is heading and what you should be focusing in. So that reduces the uncertainty. And it also helps you to find a way in how to shift gears. So you're coming from, let's say, priming the pump, which means that you get the first customers in, and then you're shifting your resource allocation towards accelerating growth. And then, of course, once you have depleted the potential market, you need to pay more and more attention to retention. But again, retention is something that you have to focus on already at the beginning. So I talked about that in different settings, and that might be actually another topic for a future IdeaCast. So, as always, the information is available in the IdeaCast Briefing Center, and you can find and follow us and follow me on these web properties. And if you have a question or you would like to suggest a topic, just contact us via these channels. And then I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the next IdeaCast. Talk to you then. Good luck.